Hello and welcome to the 49ers First and 10 podcast, 10 minutes of the most up-to-date 49ers news first thing in the morning. I'm your host, Brianna McDonald, and I'm joined by 49ers team reporter, Lindsay Polares, and a special guest on today's episode, Matt Maiocco from NBC Sports Bay Area. Matt, thank you for joining, and how are you feeling about week one?
I'm feeling so good that it's here. I mean, we can finally start talking about real stuff instead of charting training camp pass attempts and contract stuff. So the two storylines, Brianna, right, this entire offseason was Brock Purdy's arm and Nick Bosa's contract. And now both of those are settled. There's no questions. So now Sunday, it's going to be all about football.
Well, yes, Nick Bosa has been the news for a few days now, and it became officially official just earlier this morning with him signing his contract extension. Lindsay, what's been this timeline of his re-signing?
Yeah, so pen to paper happened actually this morning, but agreeing to terms happened a little earlier in the week. So Nick Bosa was actually able to be a limited participant in Thursday's practice. Matt and I were both out on the field. From what we saw, he was pretty much just running individual drills and, just getting back into the swing of things. Obviously, he wasn't with the team during training camp, so there is a very quick acclimation period going on, but everyone in the organization, and it looks like the fans, from what I'm seeing on X and Instagram, are very excited about the Nick Bosa 5-year contract extension.
Yeah, so we were all in the 49ers facilities when news broke back on Wednesday. The same exact time the media found out, the players and head coach Kyle Shanahan found out also. And just with the news breaking, the team had a new level of energy. I mean, players were screaming as they were entering the locker room. But Matt, how does Nick Bosa's presence and performance impact the team?
Oh, I mean, it's probably immeasurable. I when I look at this 49ers team, I see a lot more strengths than weaknesses. But the one area where I would think that there are probably more questions than any other area, it's at outside pass rusher. And so when you have Drake Jackson coming off his rookie season, where the emphasis this offseason was just on getting stronger to be able to maintain from week one all the way through the end of the season. The 49ers bring in Cleveland Ferrell, somebody who hasn't had, I don't know that his forte is getting after the quarterback. As strong as the unit is on the interior with Javon Hargrave and Eric Armstead, I think the one area was those outside pass rushers. So Nick Bosa coming back to the team, rejoining the team, that's huge because you don't really have to worry about him because he can beat double team blocks. He can double anything. He whatever an offense throws at him to try to contain him, he's going to beat. And now that singles up the guy on the other side. So just from that standpoint of knowing that what are the two most important positions in football? It's the quarterback and it's the guys on the other side that impact the quarterback. And so Nick Bosa is able to impact the quarterback, the opposing quarterback, as well as just make everybody around him on the 49ers defense better.
Yeah, the 49ers leadership really just emphasized how important it is up front for the defensive line, and it all is stabilized today with Nick Bosa rejoining the team. But in other news, just ahead of the season opener, head coach Kyle Shanahan announced the team's season-long captains, all of whom were voted on by their teammates. Lindsay, could you take us through who the leaders are of this year's team?
Yes, there are 6 total for the 2023 season. So we'll start with linebacker Fred Warner. This is his 4th season as a captain. Then we have All-Pro left tackle Trent Williams. This is his 4th season as a captain in San Francisco, but he was also previously a captain for Washington from 2011 to 2017. Tight end George Kittle. This is his 6th season as captain. Defensive lineman Eric Armstead, also a 4th season captain. And then we have wide receiver Deebo Samuel and quarterback Brock Purdy, all being voted as team captains for the very first time in their NFL careers. So, congrats to all of them.
Lovely. And we've heard and talked about the Mr. Irrelevant story with Brock Purdy all last season. But really, Matt, from the last pick of the draft to team captain over the course of pretty much a season, tell us about how Brock Purdy garnered the respect of the 49ers locker room and why they look to him as a leader.
Yeah, I mean, the two names on there that were not, I wouldn't say surprises, but were kind of like made you take notice. Deebo Samuel coming off the season last year that he, called, he self-assessed it as awful. It wasn't awful, but in his mind it was. So him getting named a captain was big. And then also just a Purdy. I mean, this is an amazing story thinking back to this is a guy that has only started what 7 games or 8 games, I guess, including 3 in the postseason, and he did enough in those games to earn that recognition as a team captain on a team loaded with superstars. So it just says a lot about his approach, the even keel manner with which he handles his job, the way he was able to step in a very difficult situation last year, starting the season as the number 3 quarterback. And then not only did the offense not skip a beat, it got better. And just the poise with which he plays, the work ethic, his ability to come back from the injury. I mean, everything, the way he handles himself. I mean, you see the way when he's at the podium, the way he answers questions. I mean, he's just there's absolutely no holes you can poke in this guy as a 23-year-old quarterback who a year ago there were no expectations. Whatever, a year ago in 2 weeks I didn't even know if he was going to be on the 53-man roster, and now he is the franchise quarterback of this team, and he's earned everything that he's gotten, including the respect of his teammates and coaches.
Yeah, absolutely. And our other first time captain, wide receiver, Deebo Samuel. Lindsay, tell me about his journey to this honor.
Deebo Samuel is somebody that has always been a highly regarded player throughout his career with the 49ers, but there is a special zest and enthusiasm to him coming into this season. As Matt mentioned, he had a pretty critical assessment of his performance in 2022. And he took that and it was fuel to the fire during the offseason and especially in those 40 days before the start of training camp. And he had some, serious conversations with Kyle Shanahan about how he was going to come back and be ready and be the best player that he could be. And that's also translated into being a leader in the locker room. Because, he has been voted in as a season long captain, and that's something that hasn't happened in his career just yet, not until this 2023 season. And we've heard younger players like Ronnie Bell say that Deebo Samuel is also becoming that mentor and that veteran presence for them. So, not too much of a surprise here, but like Matt mentioned, it just definitely calls your attention to that growth and development and other side to Deebo Samuel. He's not just an amazing player on the field, he is very much building his presence within that 49ers locker room.
Nice. Yeah, very exciting to see them earn that C on their chest. But now we are looking into the regular season, Matt. The games matter now, like you mentioned earlier in the podcast. We're not just going over some little evaluations throughout training camp in the preseason. So it really counts now. What are your expectations for the 49ers in the season opener on the road?
Well, let's just go for the first 3 games of the season, because that last year was a big deal. When the 49ers lost week 1 at Chicago, they lost week 3 at Denver. Those are 2 teams, looking back on it, those were not good teams. The 49ers should have won both of those games. At the very least, they should have split those games. And because they didn't, they had to go on the road for the NFC Championship game. Back in 2021, got off to a slow start. What happened? They had to go on the road for the NFC Championship game. So this game is critical. Week 2 at the Rams is critical. Back home against the New York Giants. These games are critical because it's cliche, but it's true. These games count just as much as the games late in the season when the calendar flips to November in December. I think it's going to be a really good game. I think the Steelers, that's a very difficult place to play, not just for the kicker, because of, there's games there every day, like football, high school on Friday, college games on Saturday, and then of course the NFL game on Sunday. That it's a natural grass field. It gets chewed up. It's very difficult. The crowd is into it. They're waving their terrible towels. It's an early West Coast start. There's a lot of factors kind of working against the 49ers, and the Steelers feel very good about the team they have, about their own second-year quarterback, Kenny Pickett, about TJ Watt rushing off the edge. So this is going to be a huge test for the 49ers starting off week one.
Absolutely. The team will have to stay on 10 this Sunday. So, faithful, tune into the game. The week one matchup is set to kick off at 10 a.m. Pacific time on September 10th on Fox. But that will do it for today. Be sure to look out for all of the 49ers content on 49ers.com. Thank you so much, Lindsay and Matt, for joining me in this update. Don't forget to follow First and 10 on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Be sure to turn on the notifications so you're in the know when we post any breaking news updates. And thank you, Faithful, for tuning in.